Okay. Hey, my name is Niku, and this is like my first video ever, and I'm here to talk about my creative recovery journey. So I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is 100% inspired by Doechii's earlier videos, and being interested in just documenting this process. And I think that documenting this process is what made me excited to really get into it again. So, we talking about The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And it is a 12-week creative course where basically you're doing a deep dive on the origins of your artist, the reasons of your artist, and I've been wanting to do this course for years because I be procrastinating and I be overthinking and I'm challenging myself, okay? So, in this book, there's something called the Creative Contract, and the first time I signed it was in May of 2021. The second time I signed it was in August of 2024. And then the third time I signed it was in February of 2025. So that's how we got here. And basically, like I said earlier, this was happening because I was overthinking this course too much. Okay. Another thing in this course that you have to do is something called your morning pages. And every morning you have to get up and journal and write for 3 long form handwriting pages. And I did exactly what Julia Cameron told me not to do. And that was, really overthink these pages. Like if I couldn't do them in the right way at the right time in the right manner, I wasn't going to do them. It doesn't mean that you don't be intentional with it. I still wanted to be intentional with it, but I think there's this very fine line in overthinking. Like you can be thinking about it in an intentional way and be like, oh wow, this is exactly how I want to do it. And then you can go further, just a little bit too far and be like, okay, I don't have the exact pen I want, and then it's just not gonna work. So something that helped me with my recommitment to this process was making these my own. I was like, you're an artist, you're supposed to make everything your own. I think that's another definition of artist. So that was an epiphany that I had that really changed my attitude towards this process. And yeah, I'm inspired by the Doechii videos. If you watch them, I kind of make a little cameo. So that's all I gotta say. What else did I want to say? Shout out to me doing my first video. Documenting is important. And making it your own. And I just loved the feeling of going back to her videos and seeing myself in them and being like, actually, wait, we need to document, especially us. We need to document, okay? And it's worth it. It's worth it to see your own growth, and it's worth it to see proof and have this type of proof of how good God is. Okay? Ashe. Amen. And before I close this out, I also wanted to say that it's not just this book alone that's going to help you on your creative journey, or helped at least me on my creative journey and my creative recovery. In addition to this book, because even though I hadn't done the process, I still kind of skimmed through and took a lot of things from her book. And I also saw what others were taking from her book and took those too, such as daily creative affirmations. I saw people were doing that, and I was like, okay, I got to do it too. And those were very helpful. But now that I'm going through the process, the affirmations now have a totally different meaning. So if you're feeling anxious about the process, just know that the process is the process for a reason. And you're supposed to journey into like the unknown and the uncomfortable. But in addition to the artist way, I wanted to share some other supplement resources. A lot of these resources, or all of them, are actually on YouTube. So first, AYANDASTOOD. If you are into just creative conjurings, creative woo-woo, she's just a person that gives a lot of creative power to creatives, and she has things called soul sessions where she talks to you, and she's amazing. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Okay. InHindzSight is another creator on here, and it's also lovely to see him detail his creative journey, and he's very calm and meditative, and I feel like I need both of them, you know what I mean? Then I also listen to the Ghost podcast with Jessica Lanyadoo. I love that one. She really puts astrology into a real world perspective, and I just think it's important because artists should be well rounded, especially when it comes to interpretive studies, interpretive research like astrology. I don't know, I just feel like artists and astrology really go hand in hand, and maybe that's why a lot of people who are attracted to astrology are also artists. I made that up. I'm not really sure. I also really love listening to the Holistic Psychologist. Like I said, artists should just be well rounded, and I feel like, there is the things that are up here, and there's the things that are a little bit more grounding and realistic. And she really gets to like realistic biological referencing. So it's real. I feel like I could hear the nervousness in my shaky voice, but that's okay because it's okay. And then lastly, but definitely not leastly, Arianna Elizabeth. She is a yoga teacher here on YouTube, and she actually does a lot of other things like meditation videos, Pilates, cardio, and her yoga series are my favorite. Her meditations I've had used a lot along with my creative affirmations. So please check her out too. This is so fun because actually I don't usually be telling people kind of like, well, I do. If you're my friend, I'm like, no. But I don't really be telling too many people about these things just because it feels intimate. So I love getting intimate here too with you, YouTube. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Checking back next week.